Welcome to Arínzano again. So in the last video we got into these huge barrels room we are in right now. And today I'm going to talk about the barrel aging of the wines. I'll try to explain it without getting too deep into science. Basically, we put the wine into the barrels because the wine has to get mature before it is drinkable. Just because the wine, and chemically talking, it's exactly the same. The wine is like a fruit. It has to get mature. It's a fruit because it's made of fruit. It's almost made in 100% of grapes. And the only difference is it's an artificial fruit because we processed the grapes. Now, what happens if I pick a too green apple and I bite it? Probably it's gonna make my mouth like that, because I will feel actually the bitterness, the astringence more exactly, of the tannins of the apple. So this word tannin is of course very important in wine. Tannin is designates a family of molecules, antioxidant, that compose in 98 to 99% all the dry material of vegetal world. It means the skin of an orange, the skin of an apple, the skin of the grapes, the trunk of a tree, the wood of the barrels. All this is made of tannins. These tannins are antioxidant, so they capture oxygen preferentially, so the other substances are not oxidated. Their function is, by one hand, to guarantee longevity in vegetal world, and in specifically what concerns a fruit, the role of the tannins is to preserve the nutrients available in the pulp for them to be available for the seed as long as possible, so eventually the fruit gives birth to a new plant. And so we are playing with nature in this point. And in the wine, what happens is during the fermentation, we have solved a lot of tannins from the skin of the grape, and they are releasing a lot of bitter or astringent flavors in the wine. And so before the wine is drinkable, we need to expose it a little bit to oxygen. So a direct oxygenation, like exposition to air, is too much, because in very short time it would annihilate all tannins in the wine. And if you don't have tannins remaining, you don't have longevity, so you cannot even age your wine in your bottle. What we need to reach is a fine balance. This fine balance, the best way to get it is actually using a barrel, because the oxygenation of the tannins will happen slowly by having the wine breathing through the pores of the oak. To notice and make it clear, when tannins get oxidated, they lose in a part their astringent flavor, and that's the reason why even if I let my too green apple, a few days in the kitchen, by being exposed to air, after a few days, it will lose its astringent flavors and start tasting sweeter. And this is exactly what happens into the fruits, and exactly what happens into the wine when in the barrel and in the bottle when you age it in your own cellar. So we're going to talk about a popular belief that consists in thinking that the longer the wine stays in the barrel, the better. In fact, not only that this statement is wrong, but we're going to see that it's exactly the opposite. The better is a wine, the longer in the barrel. In fact, in most wineries, the best wine is the wine of the highest concentration, which means it had a lot of contact with the skins, it integrated a lot of tannins, and so it has a lot of astringent flavors that require oxygen to be balanced. And so for this reason, the higher is the concentration of a wine, the longer this wine will need to stay in the barrel before it is drinkable. This is very important to understand because it's the barrel time that needs to be adjusted to the wine, not the opposite. Just like when you're cooking, you will have to adjust the time of cooking to each of your different ingredients. Imagine that you give a wine too much time of barrel. What would happen after a while is that the wood flavor would start dominating over the proper taste of the wine, and you will lose the genuineness of your wine. So it's very important to understand that the time of barrel is not always an indication of quality in a wine. Now, if we talk about our wines in Arínzano, our Gran Vino Tinto stays approximately 14 to 16 months in oak. And as an example, our Hacienda line, our regular line, stays about 14 months, partly in second use barrels. Understanding as well that used barrels lose capacity of oxygenation because sediments from the wine, basically fill the fibers of the oak, and so there is less porosity.